Get ready to challenge what you thought you knew. Don't miss an episode of the truth within the Bible. Your journey to enlightenment starts now.
Welcome back, my friends. Today we continue in the book of Genesis, starting with chapter 35. The last video covered chapters 32 through 34. Let me give you a quick 30-second recap to catch you up. In chapter 32, Jacob, fearing Esau, prays for protection. He wrestles a mysterious man, which was God, all night, earning the name Israel. His hip is dislocated, but he's blessed as the sun rises. In chapter 33, Jacob meets Esau. Expecting hostility, he's greeted with a hug instead. They reconcile. Esau accepts gifts, and they part peacefully. Jacob settles in Canaan. In chapter 34, Dinah, Jacob's daughter, is raped by Shechem, a Hivite prince. He seeks to marry her, but Simeon and Levi trick and slaughter the Hivites in revenge, angering Jacob. That was an awesome chapter. But there you go. Drama, wrestling, and revenge in a flash. Now we will hop into Genesis chapter 35, verse 1.
And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother.
Verse 2.
Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments.
God has told him, I want you to go back where you took that pillar, and the angels of God opened the ladder right straight to heaven, where you name that place Bethel. Then he goes on to tell him, you get rid of perversion. You clean yourselves up. How do you change? You put on the gospel armor, every piece of it. You wear it with pride. Verse 3.
And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went.
Verse 4.
And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem.
Verse 5.
And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob.
Why would they? When only 2 men can come in and clean out a whole country by sword. As we read in chapter 34, then you know that the arm of God was right there with them. They wanted no part of it. Verse 6.
So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is, Bethel, he and all the people that were with him.
Verse 7.
And he built there an altar, and called the place El-Bethel, because there God appeared unto him, when he fled from the face of his brother.
The God of Bethel, the God of God's house, being fully translated. Verse 8.
But Deborah Rebekah's nurse died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Allen-Bachuth.
The oak of the weeping, she was special. Verse 9.
And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Paddan Aram, and blessed him.
Verse 10.
And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
The Prince of the living God, Yahweh. Verse 11.
And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins.
Where do you think this King James Bible came from? It comes from this lineage. It comes from this promise. Verse 12.
And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land.
Verse 13.
And God went up from him in the place where he talked with him.
What a privilege that would be. Verse 14.
And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon.
Always being thankful to God. Verse 15.
And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him, Bethel.
That's the house of God. Beth is house and El is God. Verse 16.
And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor.
And there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. Do you know where this is happening? Bethlehem. The same place that Christ was born, this one that we were looking forward to at this time, will be the same place that the last child of the 12 patriarchs, the house of Israel, were born. There are no accidents. Our Father is definitely in control. And now, Rachel is having hard labor. Verse 17.
And it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, thou shalt have this son also.
Verse 18.
And it came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin.
And being interpreted, Benoni means son of my sorrow, because he brought her death. But Israel of Jacob would change his name to Benjamin, which is to say, son of my right hand. Verse 19.
And Rachel died, and was buried in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem.
Verse 20.
And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave. That is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day.
Now you need to know a little something about this. This word grave is not Sheol, which means a hole in the ground, a grave. The word in the Hebrew is kubura, and kubura means a sepulcher. And this sepulcher was there even as it was, that she would be put there in that sepulcher. Verse 21.
And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the tower of Edar.
Which means a flock. Verse 22.
And it came to pass, when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12.
Verse 23.
The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun.
And she had 6. Leah had 6 children to Jacob, while he was still named Jacob. Verse 24.
The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin.
And of course she died when having Benjamin. Verse 25.
And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali.
Verse 26.
And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Paddan Aram.
Now naturally we know that Benjamin was not born at Paddan Aram. Benjamin was born at Bethlehem. Verse 27.
And Jacob came unto Isaac his father unto Mamre, unto the city of Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac sojourned.
Verse 28.
And the days of Isaac were 180 years.
Verse 29 to finish the chapter.
And Isaac gave up the ghost, and died, and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him.
Let's continue on to chapter 36 and verse 1. Well, hang on. This 36th chapter, unless you are doing a genealogy tree or are a history buff, this chapter will not interest you much. It is completely full of the who begat who, etc. It's basically the generations of Esau. So, in this 36th chapter, I'm going to jump you through it, and then we'll pick it up in the 40th verse to have the names of the dukes. In the 6th verse, however, it was too crowded for Esau and Jacob, now named Israel, to both be at the same place. They both were too rich, had too many cattle. So Esau took everything he had, his wives, his cattle, and he pushed off away from that area. We know where he would end up at, in Rus or Russia. And the 38th chapter of Ezekiel declares that. And it goes on about his wives, and his wives were Hittites and Ishmaelites, unfit for the string of Adamic people, because they weren't Adamic for the Christ child to be born. So that's why it's not all that important other than to be able to identify the Edomites, which Edomite means red and is the red nation of today. But in verse 40, we come down to the dukes, which is about the equivalent of the patriarchs of Jacob's family. We'll pick it up then in verse 40.
And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families, after their places, by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jetheth,
Verse 41.
Duke Aholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Pinon,
Verse 42.
Duke Kenaz, Duke Teman, Duke Mibzar,
And 43 to finish this chapter.
Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites.
And of course, the Edomites are the red nation. And in the land of the Edomites, you find many of the Kenites intermixed with the Edomites, even to this day. So, having said that, let's pick it up then in chapter 37. Verse 1.
And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan.
Verse 2.
These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report.
In other words, they were kind of griping and complaining. Joseph loved his father, and he squealed on Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. That's who those children would have been. And you can guess how many points that's going to make to have a stool pigeon in your midst. And let me call to your mind, Joseph was the son of Rachel, who the father loved very much. It was his favorite wife. Verse 3.
Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Now, this in itself is kind of an affront to the other brothers. Why? Well, here's this little 17-year-old. This coat of many colors is a coat that's either worn by the chief, that's the head of the family, or the heir to inherit the throne of the family. So this in itself is an affront to the other brothers. Verse 4.
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him.
Verse 5.
And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
Verse 6.
And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed.
Verse 7.
For, behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf.
In other words, they were all bowing to me. God is talking to this lad, letting him know beforehand how important he's going to be to the people, as far as saving them. And when God gives you something, unless he says otherwise, you really should keep it to yourself. That is between God and you. But he bragged about it. This is not the way to win friends and influence people, especially not to brothers that are already a bit jealous of you. Verse 8.
And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
Verse 9.
And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.
And of course, that's the 11th, and he was the 12th star. Remember, he is the last child of the 12 patriarchs, the house of Israel, and naturally, this is the sun and the moon. I mean, we're traveling high cotton here. Verse 10.
And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth?
Verse 11.
And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying.
In other words, that went over about like a hair in a biscuit. Even with Israel, it was not popular. But Joseph, little Joseph, he's 17. So he's got the whole clan kind of stirred up at him here. Verse 12.
And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem.
That's the back. That's where they had gained the ground from having killed off the people that took Diana. Verse 13.
And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I.
Let's do it. Verse 14.
And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem.
Verse 15.
And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou?
Verse 16.
And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks.
Verse 17.
And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan.
It's apparent he thought this person would know his brethren. They must have been that well known in this area, and certainly he didn't have to identify them. Verse 18.
And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
They are truly bitter at him. Slaying your own brother is quite a step. Verse 19.
And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh.
Verse 20.
Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
Verse 21.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him.
Verse 22.
And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
Verse 23.
And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him.
Verse 24.
And they took him, and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it.
Verse 25.
And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Verse 26.
And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother, and conceal his blood?
What good is that going to do us? Verse 27.
Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content.
That sounds like a good deal. Let's just do it that way. Verse 28.
Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt.
Now, the price of a slave is 30 pieces of silver. They only got 20. Also, pay attention that they're passed by Midianites. That would be the offspring of Abraham by Keturah. But yet at the same time, it says they sold him to the Ishmaelites, which would be of Ishmael, the Arabs. So, again, know that just because somebody lives in an area whereby the Midianites control it, they can still be Ishmaelites and live there and still be called by that name, geographically only. Because definitely it has in 2 places given witness that these are Arabs, sold him to the Arabs, and they're going to take him down to Egypt, where there are more Arabs. Verse 29.
And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes.
Verse 30.
And he returned unto his brethren, and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go?
How are we going to handle this? Verse 31.
And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood.
Verse 32.
And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no.
Can you identify this as his coat? Making out as though they had never seen him, pretending they just found the coat. Verse 33.
And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces.
Verse 34.
And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days.
Verse 35.
And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted, and he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him.
Verse 36 to finish the chapter.
And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, and captain of the guard.
Potiphar means belonging to the son. He's a heathen, naturally. And he's a very high official. Some of these are executioners, or even in the captain of the guard, and is quite impressive. And God always sees to it that Joseph is placed where God would want him, in a position whereby he can go nowhere but up. So there you have it. Joseph was sold, and the Arabians have him, now being in Egypt. We will read more of his story in chapter 29, but that will be in the next video, where we will begin in Genesis chapter 28. Until then, stay strong, my friends.